Balon was mad, Aegon is madder, and Euron is maddest of them all. Baelor Blacktyde to Victorian Greyjoy. A Feast for Crows, Chapter 18, The Iron Captain. Given how small some of the Iron Islands are, the houses that call those islands home often take the name of the island themselves as their own house title. One of these houses is the Blacktydes of the island of Blacktyde in the Iron Islands. The Blacktydes are among the foremost bannermen to House Greyjoy, the Lords of Pike, since the downfall of the Iron Kings during Aegon's conquest. House Blacktyde blazon their arms with a very green and black. The island they call home is the northernmost of the Iron Islands, and among the smallest. Like most of the ancient houses of the Iron Islands, the Blacktydes claim descent from the Grey King of legend, and thus, over the thousands of years of pre-Targaryen conquest history, have claimed to be both kings and high kings of the Isle. In some historical accounts, Corred the Cruel, the High King of the Iron Islands, is said to have been a Blacktyde. However, he is most often associated with House Hoare, but Corred was said to be one of the greatest High Kings the Isles had ever seen, sacking Oldtown and warring with the kings of the Riverlands. During the reign of King Corred, the Ironborn would rightfully claim that his writ ran wherever men could smell salt water or hear the crash of waves. The Ironborn were at their peak of expansion, ruling territory along the Sunset Sea, from the Arbor to Bear Islands. Many men abandoned the shores for fear of Corred's reavers, while those who remained were forced to pay tribute. But the Kingdom of the Reach called him Corred the Cruel. Corred died at the age of 90, having ruled for 75 years. Corred's conquests were gradually lost by his successors and descendants, however. A High King, King Joran I Blacktyde, captured Giles II Gardner, the King of the Reach, when their fleets clashed off the Misty Island. After torturing the king to death, Joran cut Giles' corpse into pieces for bait for fishing. He also raided the Arbor, carrying off countless women and children. In the wake of the Dance of the Dragons, after the death of Dalton Greyjoy, Lord of the Iron Islands at Faircastle, the Blacktydes and the Harlaws joined the Red Kraken's cousin to raise up Roderick Greyjoy, a younger salt son of Dalton, as the Red Kraken's successor. This resulted in a bloody struggle for power in the Iron Islands that lasted for half a year. During the Baratheon era of Westeros in the year 289 AC, House Blacktyde, along with the liege lords of House Greyjoy, rebelled against the Iron Throne, with Baelor Greyjoy naming himself king. During the ensuing war, Lord Blacktyde was killed in the battle, and after the rebels were defeated, his son Baelor was taken as a hostage for 8 years to the city of Oldtown in the Reach, controlled by House Hightower. Balon the Widowmaker I call him. I will gladly trade his freedom for a father. Have you one to give? Baelor Blacktyde to Victorian Greyjoy. A Feast for Crows, Chapter 18. The Iron Captain. Upon his return to the Iron Islands, Baelor had converted to the mainland's faith of the Seven, much to the horror of some of his Blacktyde and Ironborn kin. Also, after the rebellion, the young Christopher Botley was sent away to be fostered with the Blacktydes. Christopher had originally been fostered at Pike with the Greyjoys, whom had lost 2 of their sons during the rebellion, with their last living son, Theon Greyjoy, taken as a hostage by Lord Eddard Stark of Winterfell. But Christopher was eventually sent away by Lord Balon Greyjoy when Pike's maester told Balon that Christopher intended to marry Balon's daughter, Asha Greyjoy. During the events of the main book series, when the War of the Five Kings breaks out on mainland Westeros after the death of King Robert I Baratheon, Baelor Greyjoy, Lord of the Iron Islands, calls his banners to his seat of Pike as he once again named himself king. The recently crowned king in the north, Robb Stark, sends his friend Theon Greyjoy to travel to the Iron Islands and seek an alliance with Theon's father, Balon, against the Iron Throne. In the Great Hall of Pike, Theon later notices his father has gathered hundreds of his captains, with the Blacktydes amongst them. Lord Blacktyde says this Kingsmoot is a dangerous folly. He thinks your uncle would descend on them and kill them all, as Arryn did. Roderick Harlaw to Asha Greyjoy. A Feast for Crows, Chapter 11. The Kraken's Daughter. After Baelor Greyjoy apparently falls to his death at Pike, his younger brother, Aeron Damphair, demands a Kingsmoot be held to elect a new king. Blind Baelor Blacktyde is one of the priests of the drowned god who adds their voices to the Damphair's call, wishing to bring back the old way to the Iron Islands that had slowly been eroded during the Targaryen rule of Westeros, and later that of House Baratheon. When visiting Lord Roderick Harlaw at 10 Towers, Lord Baelor Blacktyde fears that Euron Greyjoy, another of the late Lord Balon's brothers, who had already claimed the Seastone chair by this point, would descend upon the other candidates at the Kingsmoot and kill them all, just like Oren Greyiron had done at the last Kingsmoot 1,000 years before. Victarion Greyjoy sees Baelor's ship Nightflyer when he arrives at Naga's Cradle with the Iron Fleet for the Kingsmoot. Remembering that Baelor's father had been killed during the Greyjoy Rebellion, Baelor is cautious about supporting Victarion in the Kingsmoot itself. Baelor later decides to follow Asha Greyjoy instead, after she announces that if she were to win, she'd bring an end to all the conflicts facing the Iron Islands. Against Aeron's intentions, his hated brother Euron is chosen during the Kingsmoot on Old Wyck. After Euron is crowned, he commands the Iron Fleet to close Naga's Cradle, blocking all of the ships from leaving. Baelor's Nightflyer is seized, and Lord Blacktyde is delivered to Euron in chains for refusing to accept him as king. Euron orders his men to kill Baelor and cuts him into 7 pieces in an ironic tribute to his worship of the 7 mainland gods. And as of the publication of A Dance with Dragons, that is all we currently know of House Blacktyde.